Part 2. As I mentioned, today's focus is on the inspector, where the inspector kind of summarises all of their involvement in the case. So he summarises. Oh, I froze the board. There we go. So the inspector summarises all of their involvement in the case, and he gives a very, very famous speech where he talks about the irresponsibilities of the capitalists and middle classes, and he argues for a socialist change. Okay, so here we go. This is straight after. I'm doing this first bit. I don't need to know anymore. Neither do you. This girl killed herself, died a horrible death. He's very good at just reminding them all the time that it's not about them, it's about Eva. So he's trying to keep the focus on the victim, right? Not on themselves. Each of you helped to kill her. Remember that. Never forget it. Okay? He looks from one to the other carefully. But I don't think you ever will. So essentially he's had an impact on them, right? So all of them now, even Mrs. Burling, who was like, I am not responsible, all of them now feel bad. Sheila and Eric felt bad pretty much straight away. Mr. and Mrs. Burling feel bad because of the fears around the scandal and also the child, their grandchild that was involved. Remember what you did, Mrs. Burling? You turned her away when she most needed help. You refused her even the pitiable little of organised charity you had in your power to grant her. Right? Pitiable little means just sort of like tiny amounts. So tiny sums, right? She only wanted a small amount of money and you wouldn't even give her that. Right, let's do some parts. Go on. Eric? Yep. Go on then.
My God, I would like you to forget.
Just used her for an end of a stupid drunken evening, as if she was an animal, a thing, not a person. Right? Thank you, Mr. Priestley, for the good quotes. Right? I like this one here. Used her for a stupid drunken evening, as if she were an animal, a thing, not a person. Right? So it's great. He just goes to each person. Right? Mrs. Burling, here's what you did. Eric, here's what you did. Right? An animal, a thing, not a person, right? As if, so that makes this a simile. And again, up here, used her. We spoke about this yesterday, that he just uses her like an object. So she's objectified. Okay. The inspector looks at Sheila. You know Sheila?
Yeah.
Go on then, nice on that, please.
I know, I had her turned out of the job, I started it.
Yeah. So again, she kind of accepts responsibility. Is that true? No. So she accepts too much responsibility. She's like, I know. I had her turned out of a job. I started it. You helped, but you didn't start it. Rather savagely, like aggressive, right? As the play goes on, he becomes more and more aggressive. His character is quite strange. You started it. She wanted 25 shillings a week instead of 22. You made her pay a heavy price for that. And now she'll make you pay a heavier price still. Go on, you can take Burling. I'll give you a part. Before we read it, right, this bit here, she'll make you pay a heavier price still. But what does he mean by that? What's the heavier price that he's talking about? Yes, Michael. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So this idea of scandal. So when this gets out, there's no way he's getting his knighthood. So it's like, you will be punished for what you did to her, right? You got her sacked, right? Now again, I quite like this here, right? You made her pay a heavy price. So it's quite ironic because, of course, price is also about money. And the idea is that he tried to save 3 shillings and it's cost him his dream. His dream, of course, is to be in the upper classes. He wants to be like up there. So he says, for your tightness, your cheapness has cost you something. Mr. Burling, unhappy, you're very unhappy.
Look, Inspector, I'd give thousands. Yes, thousands.
Well, this is quite a good quote for him. What is he? Thousands of what? Yeah, pounds, yeah. So he says, I would give thousands, right? So he repeats thousands, which of course is a structural technique, which we can talk about. Notice his stammering again here, right? It's this idea of being sort of like upset and he can't speak. But of course, think about this being a juxtaposition, so juxt of earlier, right? So he's like, oh, I wouldn't give her 3 more shillings, and now I give thousands. If I could only make this go back. So he does show here, for the first time, he shows remorse. At the start of the play, he's like, I don't take responsibility, and now he's like, I give thousands and thousands. You're offering money at the wrong time, Mr. Burling.
Can you say he just said thousands to have to be that way, he wouldn't be in a position of not getting a knife?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know what he's saying, right? But he says, I want to reverse this. I would give her money to reverse this situation. Now we don't know. You're right. We don't know. Is he upset because he's losing his knighthood? Probably. Is he upset because she's dead? Don't know. But he shows remorse. He wants to go back. You're offering money at the wrong time, Mr. Burling. Right? Good. So it's very aggressive, right? You're offering money at the wrong time, Mr. Burling. You had your chance, you didn't take it. The inspector makes a move as if concluding the session, possibly shutting up his notebook. Then he surveys them sardonically, so like sarcastically. No, I don't think any of you will forget, nor that young man Croft. So Gerald, remember Gerald has gone out. So Gerald has gone out because he was upset. He's not in the room, right? None of you forget what he did to her, nor that young man Crofts, though he has some affection for her at least. So the idea is that Gerald is the best of them, because at least he actually liked her, right? He had some affection for her, and made her happy for a time. Now again, I find this interesting because I think a modern day reading of Gerald's involvement doesn't make him seem like a good guy, but a 1912 one is like, what a spiffing guy. Gave her a room to stay in, gave her some money to spend, right? But of course we recognise that he's exploiting her vulnerability. But again, this is something about the difference of 1912 to today. Well, Eva Smith's gone, right? So you can't do her any more harm, and you can't do her any good now either. You can't even say, I'm sorry, Eva Smith. So this idea of you can't change the past, right? You can't do anything about it, so let's stop talking about it. You can't do anything. You can't change it, you can't make it better. It is what it is. Sheila, who's crying quietly because you're upset. One Eva Smith has gone. But there are millions and millions of Eva Smiths and John Smiths still left with us. Right, this is probably the most important, famous part of the play. This is where the political message comes through, and he makes it very well. Okay, so there are millions and millions of Eva Smiths and John Smiths. So of course the idea is that Eva Smith. So one Eva Smith is gone. So the idea, of course, that there are many of her, and that she is a symbol of the working class, right? There are other ones out there, right? There are millions and millions and millions. So you do have a sense of this out of the millions, it being like a real inequality. Not just inequality of wealth, but inequality of numbers. There are many, many, many millions and millions and millions of poor people, and only very few very wealthy people. The money inequality is vast. Millions and millions of Eva Smiths and John Smiths. So there were also men out there who were suffering as well, with their lives, their hopes and fears, their suffering and chance of happiness, all intertwined with our lives, right? So this is the kind of the socialist idea, right? that we are all together, all intertwined with our lives, with what we think and say and do. We don't live alone. We are members of one body. Okay? Now, who is this the opposite of from earlier in the play? That's Mr. Burling, right? So this is the opposite. I'm going to put this is the opposite. I'm going to put the word. This is the opposite philosophy. So way of thinking to Mr. Burling, right? Do you remember when the inspector arrives in the play? He arrives at the point that Burling is saying, a man must look out for himself and his family, only care about yourself. And this is the inspector's final speech. So in a way, this final speech pairs really nicely with that Mr. Burling speech, right? Man looks out for himself, we're not all bees in a hive, look out for you and your family. Compared with, we don't live alone, we are members of one body, we are responsible for each other. So really nice little triplet, and the use of the collective pronoun, right? So we is what we call a collective pronoun. And again, he repeats it 3 times at the beginning of a sentence. We, right? Not you and I, not us and them, but we. We are all one thing. We don't live alone. We are members of one body. We are responsible for each other. And I tell you that a time will soon come when if men will not learn that lesson, then they will be taught it in fire and blood and anguish. We don't live alone. Good night. I think that's it. Gone. The inspector walks straight out, leaving them staring, subdued and wondering. Sheila still crying quietly. Mrs. Burling has collapsed into the chair. Eric is brooding desperately. Burling, the only active one, hears the front door slam. So notice here, right? Crying quietly, collapsed, brooding, right? There's a sense here that he has affected them all, right? Now this is maybe here the most famous line in the play. So if you don't change your ways, and help out the poor, then you will be taught a lesson, and that lesson will be taught in fire and blood and anguish. Now, there's lots of ways you can think about this statement, okay? The first one, so I'll put a few options, let's put them over here, right? So the first one is some people think this is a reference to World War I and II, right? We know that those world wars are caused by powerful governments and inequality. So the first thing is, if we don't have a socialist system, it will end in bloodshed and war, which of course is true. That does happen, right? Now this of course is to the audience of 1912. This is 1912, right? This leads to war, and we see the consequence of inequality is war.
So I think that was 1945.
World War II is 1939, right?
I thought it was.
I guess my point is the message varies, right?
I
Now,
thought it was read in that. Like it was written then. I thought it was written later.
it was written in 1945. So in terms of 1912, what this refers to is the fact that this is 1912. It's followed by World War I and World War II.
No, I was getting confused if it was World War. So it was 1912 and 1945.
Yes, well, 1945. So in 1945, what this refers to is the potential for revolution, right? So if the poor are treated badly, then they will rise up and overthrow the rich, right? Now that is your basic Marxist theory, right? Karl Marx, who inspired communism and socialism as sort of as a smaller version, Karl Marx said that one day what will happen naturally, I'll put Marx here, right? So the Marx theory is that socialism is inevitable, right? He argued that that one day inequality will grow so big between the rich and the poor will overthrow the rich and form a sort of communist utopia. So what the inspector says is, if you don't change your ways, right, if you don't give up some power and help out the poor, then it will be taken from you in violence, right? Fire, blood, so blood being a symbol of death, anguish meaning pain, fire meaning destruction and war, right? What he's referring to, this is a very, very, very deliberate threat, right? That if you don't do something, we will do it to you. So in a way, he's giving the rich a chance. He's saying, you can make these changes, right? You can make the world more equal and more fair, but if you don't, it will happen anyway, right? So you might as well do it yourselves. He walks out the room. That is the end of his play. He is done, gone. He does not return. So it's kind of like a crazy mic drop, right? Goodbye. The front door slams, moves hesitatingly towards the door, stops, looks gloomily at the other three, pours himself a drink which he hastily swallows, right? So again, all people have been affected by this situation. Right, you ready? Burning. Now they turn on each other. And what we want to focus on is to look at the impact on each character, right? Some characters change as a result of this experience, and other characters don't. Burling. Angry.
What does that say?
That says turn on each other, impact on each character. So we're looking for the impact on each character of what the inspector has said. Right, Burling.
You're the one who
Oh, better I am.
you and you don't realise yet all you've done. Most of this is bound to come out. There'll be a public scandal.
Good, so there you go, this is good, right? So he cares about reputation, right? This is all he cares about. He goes, you ruin my reputation, right? It's bound to come out, there'll be a public scandal. So everyone will know about it and I will lose my knighthood, right? He's going to lose his honours that are coming his way, right? Eric.
Well, I don't care now.
You don't seem to care about anything, but I care. I was almost certain for a night in the next one, honestly.
Yeah, good. This is quite an ironic line here, right? I care, but what does he really care about? Himself, right? He cares about himself. So he's like, I care about my knighthood, right? Not about Eva, not about the poor. He just completely ignores that whole message we just had. Sorry.
Oh, for God's sake, what does it matter now whether they give you a knighthood or not?
Yeah. So again, so what you find is that Eric actually does change. So Eric goes, who cares about knighthoods, right, when someone's died? So for Eric, death is more important than honours, right? But not for his father. Okay? Burley.
It doesn't matter to you. Apparently, nothing matters to you. But it may interest you to know that until every penny of that money you stole is repaid, you work for nothing. And there's going to be no more of this drinking around town, picking up women in the palace bar.
Yeah, good. So again, he also cares about money. So he's completely missed the point, right? He cares about his honour, he cares about getting the money back, but not the thing that actually matters. Mrs. Burley. Don't do it, Mrs. Burley. May I ask you, Mrs. Burley? Mrs. Burley? You want Mrs. Burley? Go on then.
Actually, think not them. I'm absolutely ashamed of you.
Yeah. She's been picking up women in the palace bar. Eric.
Well, I don't blame you. But don't forget, I'm ashamed of you as well. Yes, both of you.
Drop that. There's every excuse for what both your mother and I did. It turned out unfortunately. That's all.
So again, there's a sense here of, again, no responsibility, right? Like, what we did was fine. Responsibility. He just says that we got unlucky, right? So we were unlucky, right? Your mother turns down loads of women, but they don't all end up dying. Is that? Sheila's already gone.
That's all.
See? Come on.
Well, what have you to say? I don't know where to begin. Then don't begin. Nobody wants you to.
Right. Yeah.
I behaved badly too. I know I did. I'm ashamed of it. But now you're beginning all over again to pretend that nothing much has happened.
Yeah. So the idea is that they haven't learned, right? So what you're probably starting to see at this point is that there is a disparity, right? You have the old generation versus the young generation. So Eric and Sheila have changed, right? They're like, we don't want to, we feel bad for what we did. We want to make it better. The old generation don't feel that at all. Now, of course, I think the point that Priestley's making is that my argument is that you can change the future that's represented by the young generation, but you cannot change the past. So the old generation are hard to change, right? They're built in their ways, but the young generation, the new generation, hasn't learnt anything. The new generation, you could potentially try to influence and change and make them a bit better. Berling.
Nothing much has happened. Haven't I already said there'll be a public scandal? Unless we're lucky, I'm the only one who suffers.
Yeah, I'm the one who'll suffer, right? So again, sort of a woe is me, I'm the victim here, I'm the one that's come out badly. Sheila.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I don't care about that. The thing is, you don't seem to have learned anything.
Yeah. Berling.
Don't I? Well, you're quite wrong there. I've learned plenty tonight, and you don't want me to tell you what I've learned at all. When I look back on tonight, when I think of what I was feeling when 5 of us sat down to dinner at that table.
Yes. And do you remember what you said to Gerald and me after dinner? When you were feeling so pleased with yourself, you told us that a man has to make his own way, and that we weren't to take any of these cranks who told us that everybody has to look after everybody else, as if we were all mixed up together. Do you remember? Yes. And then one of those cranks walked in, the inspector. I didn't notice you tell him that it's every man for himself.
Yeah, so he accuses his dad of being a coward. He says, you were so big talking about all this stuff here, and then as soon as he came in, like, he basically shut you down. So it's a bit of sort of like masculine shaming, right? But I didn't notice you standing up to him then. Sheila.
Is that when the inspector came? Just after Father had said that?
Eric.
Oh, yes. What of it?
Now what's the matter, Sheila?
It doesn't matter much now, of course. But was he really a police inspector?
Yeah, was he really a police inspector? Right? So was he actually a police inspector? So there's something very suspicious. She says the timing of his arrival was very suspicious. He arrived when you were giving that speech. That's weird, right? Considering what he then went on to talk about. So was he really a police inspector? Berlin.
Well, if he wasn't, it matters a devil a lot. Makes all the difference.
Right, now this is a good quote here, right? Does it matter? Does it matter? If it turns out that he's not a police inspector, does it make a difference?
Yes, and that's Mr. Barley, because then he won't lose that reputation because the guy never really existed.
Good, right, so the reputation, that is true. But what about the life of Eva Smith? Did those things still happen? If the inspector if he wasn't an inspector, did they all still do the things that they did to Eva Smith? Yes, because they admitted it, right? Yep.
It kind of supports the idea of you being, or when you say like Eva Smith's a different person, kind of supports that because
Yeah.
if he's lying about all of this, you don't know if he's lying about the Eva Smith.
Exactly, right? The idea is that for Eva and the women, it's a false statement, right? It doesn't make a difference. Eric still raped a woman. Mr. Burnley still fired a woman. Sheila still fired a woman. Mrs. Burnley still turned a woman away. Whether it's one woman, whether it's Eva or many women, the point is that it doesn't matter whether he was real or not, whether he's an inspector or not, because they still did the thing that they did, right? They still abused and exploited those women, regardless of whether he was an inspector or not, right? Sheila.
No, it doesn't.
So here is their difference, right? Yes, please. Berlin.
Talk rubbish. Of course it does.
Well, it doesn't to me, and it it wasn't to you either.
Don't be childish, Sheila.
I'm not being, if you want to know, it's you two who are being childish, trying not to face the facts.
Yeah.
I won't have that sort of talk. Any more of that until you leave this room.
Eric?
That'll be terrible for her, won't it?
I'm going anyhow in a minute or two, but don't you see, if all that's come out tonight is true,
Keep going.
then it doesn't matter who it was who made us confess. When it was true, wasn't it? That's what's important, and it's what we did that's important, and not whether a man is a police inspector or not.
Here we go, right? So this is her argument, right? It's what we did. It's what we did that's important, not whether he was an inspector. Her father disagrees. Eric?
He was our police inspector, right?
Yeah, he was our police inspector. So the idea is that it doesn't, even if he wasn't real, the idea is that he got them to confess. Right? They all confessed to their sins. Sheila?
That's what I mean, Eric. But if it's any comfort to you, and it isn't to me, I have an idea, and I've had it all along vaguely.
Yeah.
That there was something curious about him. He never seemed like an ordinary police inspector.
You're right. I felt it too. Didn't you?
Well, I must say his man was quite extraordinary. That's so really sounds.
Yeah, so again, remember, we spoke this earlier on, the idea is that, so the police don't question the rich, right? So his manner is strange because they're not used to it. He was rude and assertive, right? Policemen don't speak to us like that. There was something weird about his character. Berlin.
Then look at the way he talks to me, telling me to shut up and so on. He must have known I was an ex-Lord Mayor and a
Magistrate. Yeah.
and so forth. Besides, the way he talked, you remember. I mean, that don't talk like. I'd have dealings with dozens of them.
Yeah, dozens of them. So referencing the police. So then we have more of this idea of the corruption. The idea is that the rules don't apply to him because of who he is, right? Ex-Lord Mayor, magistrate. I've had dealings with dozens of them. So he's like, I'm not used to this, right? I own the police. I control the police. None of them have ever spoken to me in that way before. Sheila.
Alright, but it doesn't make any real difference, you know.
Of course it does.
No, Sheila's right. It doesn't.
That's comic, that is. Coming from you, you're the one who makes the most difference to me. You confessed to that, and now he knows all about it, and he can bring it out at the inquest, and then, if necessary, carry it to court. You can't do anything to your mother and Sheila and me, except perhaps make us look a bit ashamed of ourselves in public. But as for you, he can ruin you, and then to tell us it doesn't make any real difference. It makes all the difference.
Well done, yeah. It's true, right? Eric is the one who's committed a crime. Of course, he completely ignores the crime of rape. He completely ignores that. He focuses on the crime of theft. So that's another indication of what matters. So again, even this time we have an idea that money is more important than women in terms of the law. You might argue in some ways it's still true today, right? But he says, you're the one who's in trouble here, mate. Right? You're the one who's done a crime. He can ruin you, right? He can ruin you, destroy you. For us, he can make us look a little bit ashamed of ourselves in public, but ultimately we're not going to prison, right? You could go to prison for this. Sheila.
You know, all he did was to make us confess. We hardly ever told him anything we didn't know. Did you notice that?
That's nothing. He had a bit of information left by the girl and made few smart guesses. But the fact remains that if he hadn't talked so much, he really have had little to go on.
Yeah, if you hadn't talked so much, you have little to go on. So they're blaming each other at this point for what's happened, right? They're kind of turning on each other. He's cracked their sense of unity, okay, at this point. Belling?
And really, when it comes to think of it, why you all have to go letting everything come out?
Yeah. I mean, this is very ironic because, of course, he also did the same thing. He's like, oh, you told him all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, well, you did too as well. Sheila?
he made us confess.
Miss B.
He certainly didn't make me confess, as you call it. I told him quite plainly that I thought I'd done no more than my duty.
Yeah.
Oh, mother.
Fact is, you allowed yourselves to be loved. Yes, love.
So
Now,
it's almost like here they're now sort of mocking them. It's like he didn't really get us, but he did get you, right? You got bluffed. You got bluffed, right? I didn't confess. I just told him what I did.
now really, Arthur,
No, not you, my dear, but these two. That fellow obviously didn't like us. He was prejudiced from the start. Probably a socialist or some sort of crime. He talks like that. And then instead of standing up to him, you let him bluff into talking about your private affairs. You ought to have stood up to him.
Yeah, that's a good quote there, right? It's like he was prejudiced against us, right? He's anti-rich. A crank means somebody who is mad. So he was probably a socialist. First time the word is used in the play, by the way. He was probably some socialist or some nut job, some crank. Eric.
Well, I didn't notice you standing up to him.
No, because that time you'd admitted you'd been taking money. What chance had I after that? I was a fool not to have insisted upon seeing him alone.
That wouldn't have worked.
Of course it will.
really, from the way you've chosen talk, you might be wanting to help them instead of us. Now just be quiet so that your father can decide what we ought to do.
Yes, well, we'll have to do something and get to work quickly too.
Because this is their change, right? She sees it. Sounds like you want to help him instead of us. It's this idea about sort of like justice versus loyalty, right? Are you loyal to your family, to your class, or are you loyal to the justice system and want what's fair, right? We've got work to do, right? We've got to try and hide this before it comes out as a scandal. And now he hesitates. There is a ring at the front door. They look at each other in alarm.
Now who's this? Had it better go?
No, I'd no go. I asked her to wait up to make us some tea.
So that should say, had I better go. That makes no sense. Edna will go, right? So remember, Edna's there still. So Edna is, of course, our working class character in the house. Sheila,
It might be Gerald coming back.
Berling.
Yes, of course. I forgot about him.
Edna appears and introduces Gerald. Go on then. Nice and loud, please. Right? It's Mr. Croft.
I hope you don't mind my coming back. I have a special reason for doing so. When did that inspector go?
Only a few minutes ago. You put us all through it.
Sheila,
Yeah. So again, at this point here, Gerald doesn't know. Gerald doesn't know that Eric got Sheila pregnant. Now, of course, that's important because Gerald is in love with Eva, right? So it's awkward, right? Gerald doesn't know. It's awkward. He's like, no, don't tell him. Sheila.
Gerald might as well know.
Now. You didn't bother him with all that stuff.
Yeah. Sheila.
Alright, but we're all in it. Up to the neck. It got worse after you left.
Yeah, so this is a sort of a metaphor for the idea of like, for sort of, imagine sort of drowning, like the water is right up to your neck, so it's like we're right in it, right? Okay, it's very, very, very serious situation.
How did he behave?
He was frightened.
If you ask me, he behaved in a very peculiar and suspicious manner.
the rude way he spoke to Miss Ryan and me, it was quite extraordinary. Why?
You know something. What is it?
That man wasn't a police officer.
Ooh, that man wasn't a police officer. He wasn't a police officer, right? He wasn't a police officer.
What?
Are you certain?
I'm almost certain. That's why I came back to tell you.
Okay, that's what I came back to tell you.
Good lad. You asked about me.
I was sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I met a police sergeant I know down the road. I asked him about this Inspector Gould and described the fact that he saw there wasn't any Inspector Gore or anybody like him on the force.
Right, there wasn't any Inspector Gould, so he is not. This is proof, right? So he's not a policeman.
You didn't tell him.
No, I passed it off by saying I've been having an argument with somebody, but the point is, this sergeant was dead certain that having any inspector at all like this, like the chap who came here.
By Jingo. Okay.
By Jingo!
Didn't I tell you?
By Jingo! Good. I just like that. By Jingo! It's like, good lord, a fake!
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I say I couldn't imagine a real police inspector talking like that to us?
Well, you were right. There isn't any such inspector
We've been had, right? We've been tricked. Now, what now happens is that they go, we got away with it, right? So they get tricked true, but the other thing that we're going to add on is that they have got away with all their crimes / sins. Let's say sins, as bad things people do, right? They got away with it. The guy is not a police inspector. He cannot take any of that information and use it, right? He's a random guy that decided to come in and do that. Maybe.